If you're going to Rocky Point from Phoenix, you're going to pass a small town called Ajo. Now, for most people, it's just a place to get gas, food, and not think much about it. But it really has a rich history. And the guy responsible for Ajo was, well, his name was John Campbell Greenway. And if you live in Phoenix, you probably heard of Green Road. That's a major road in northern Phoenix. And Greenway High School. Now, let me tell you about John. He was born in Huntsville, Alabama, July 6, 1872. Now, this guy was really smart. He went to Phillips Academy in Hanover, where two U.S. presidents, five Nobel Prize winners, a U.S. Supreme Court justice, and my main man,
Bill
yeah,
Belichick.
the Petrus guy. Now, you know this guy was going places. After graduation, he goes to work for Carnegie Steel, where he works briefly. Now, what happens next is the Spanish American War starts up, and he volunteers for the Rough Riders. But anyway, his boss is Colonel Theodore Roosevelt, who's going to be the 26th president of the United States in the future. Now, Teddy loves this guy and promotes him to acting captain. Now, he gets awarded a Silver Star at the Battle of San Juan Hill. Now, that's the third highest military decoration, and it's for valor in combat. And Teddy writes a book about the Rough Riders. And in his book, he writes something about John Greenway. And this is it. A strapping fellow, entirely fearless, bossed, and quiet, with the ability to take care of the men under him so as to bring them to the highest point of soldierly perfection. To be counted upon with absolute certainty in every emergency, not only doing his duty, but always on the watch. To find new duty which he could construe to be true, is ready to respond with eagerness to the slightest suggestion of doing something, whether it was dangerous or merely difficult and laborious. Now, he was also in World War One, where he was commanded by Major Theodore Roosevelt, the son of Teddy. Now, he received a Distinguished Service Cross, which is right behind the Medal of Honor. In late 1918, he was severely gassed by German forces and discharged from active services. He remained in the Army Reserves and he arrived back in Arizona in 1919. Went back to mining. He was also promoted to rank of colonel and later promoted brigadier general. Now, the reason I go into his background because I want to show you what kind of person he was. But really, the story is about mining. So in 1910, he moves from Minnesota to Arizona and to a copper mine at Bisbee. In 1911, he gets core samples from Maho, and he's looking at these samples saying, "Man, there's a lot of ore, in this town." So he goes there, and there's only 25 people at that time. But when he gets there, there's two major problems. One was water. You need that to extract the ore. Another thing was Aho was so isolated. There was really no, you know, highways, freeways back then. So how was he going to get the ore to out of Aho? But Greenway was a smart guy, and he knew he could solve both those problems. But tests showed there was 40 tons of copper ore, most of it low grade. Now his idea was to open an open pit mine and use steam shovels to get the ore. And he knew how to do this. Water was the next thing. Now there was water north of Bajo, which he tapped with large oil rigs, and then brought the water with mule teams. And that made Ajo a growing town. In 1916, we got the railroad from Hill Bend. It began operations into Ajo. And between 1918 and 1957, Ajo shipped over 300 million pounds of copper. Now, the sad thing is, Greenway had health problems. And he was in New York. And he had surgery. And he died on January 9th, 1926, at 54. Now, Greenway's body was taken to Ajo by train. Over 3,000 people showed up for his funeral. In his will, he left 100,000 to miners at Ucrania copper mine. He was buried in Ajo, but in 1995, his body was moved to be with his wife, Isabella Greenway, and his son, John Jack Greenway, in Kentucky. In 1930, a bronze statue of John Campbell Greenway was made by Gutzon Borglum. Now, this is like the same guy that made the Mount Rushmore. And the statue was installed in the United States Capitol in Washington as part of the Natural Statuary Hall collection. And it was one of two. And the other one was donated to the state of Arizona. Now it was there until it was replaced by Barry Goldwater. And the Greenway statue was relocated to the History Building in Phoenix, where it resides over the entrance lobby, in an niche designed for the work. On the wall behind the statue is a large photograph of Borglum working on an almost completed statue.